words hung in the air. Around the dining table, my family nodded in agreement like a Greek chorus of disappointment. Dad cut his meat with surgical precision, refusing to meet my eyes. My older brother Marcus smirked into his wine glass. "It's not personal, Claire," Sarah said, her engagement ring catching the chandelier light as she gestured dismissively. "But Brad's family is very prominent. His father sits on 3 corporate boards. His mother chairs the museum gala committee. We need to maintain a certain image." I'd heard variations of this my entire life. Not polished enough. Not connected enough. Not ready for the family's increasingly ambitious social circles. What they meant was, not valuable enough to their networking aspirations. "We've already told everyone you're traveling for work," Mom continued, dabbing her lips with her napkin. "It's easier than explaining why you can't attend. People understand career commitments." "What people?" I asked quietly. "The guest list," Sarah said impatiently. "Brad's uncle is a federal judge. His cousin runs the state's largest investment firm. We can't have questions about why my sister is, you know." "Why I'm what?" "Working at some little consulting firm nobody's heard of," Marcus interjected. "Sarah's wedding is going to be featured in Metropolitan magazine. Every guest matters." I set down my fork carefully. They had no idea that my little consulting firm was the most exclusive policy advisory group in the state. We didn't advertise because we didn't need to. Our client list spoke for itself. Governor Richardson had personally recruited me after reading my infrastructure finance proposal. Senator Morrison called me for advice before every appropriations vote. But I'd learned years ago that my family only valued success they could see and brag about at cocktail parties. 300 guests, Sarah gushed, her voice taking on that dreamy quality she reserved for social climbing. "Brad's family knows everyone. The ceremony is at Thornhill Estate, reception in the grand ballroom. We have ice sculptures, a live orchestra, and a champagne fountain. And a live stream," Mom added proudly. "So all our friends who couldn't make the guest list can still watch." "Isn't that wonderful?" "Wonderful," I echoed. Dad finally spoke. "It's for the best, Claire. You understand? Sarah's marrying into the Whitmore family. This is important for all of us. The connections, the opportunities. You wouldn't want to jeopardize that." What he meant was, they'd already positioned themselves to benefit from Sarah's marriage, and I was a liability to their social climbing scheme. The rest of dinner passed in a blur of wedding planning talk. The designer dress. The celebrity florist. The exclusive caterer. The carefully curated guest list that included senators, CEOs, and old money families. Every word reinforced that I wasn't part of their world. After dessert, as I gathered my coat to leave, Sarah pulled me aside in the foyer. "Don't be upset," she said, though her eyes were calculating rather than sympathetic. "You can watch on the live stream. It'll be almost like being there. And honestly, Claire, you'd probably be uncomfortable anyway. These are very sophisticated people. Brad's uncle went to Yale. His aunt is personal friends with the governor." I managed a smile. "The governor? How impressive." "You have no idea," Sarah breathed. "Governor Richardson might actually attend. Can you imagine? Brad's father knows him personally. If the governor comes to my wedding." She didn't finish the sentence, but I could see the social media posts already forming in her mind. The photos. The prestige. The bragging rights that would last years. I drove home to my downtown loft, the one my family assumed I could barely afford. They'd never visited. Never asked for crunching and policy stuff. They had no idea that I'd been the lead consultant on the state's 5-year infrastructure plan, or that my name appeared on briefing documents the governor reviewed weekly. The irony was almost funny. Sarah was desperately hoping the governor might attend her wedding, while I'd had lunch with him twice in the past month discussing the new transit initiative. My phone buzzed. A text from the governor's chief of staff. "Meeting moved to Thursday 2 p.m. Governor wants your input on the education funding proposal before the press conference." I stared at the message, then at my calendar. Thursday. Sarah's wedding was Saturday. Over the next 2 weeks, my family's group chat exploded with wedding updates. Photos of floral arrangements. Seating chart revisions. Excited messages about confirmed RSVPs from prominent guests. Not a single message directed at me, though I remained in the group, a silent observer to their social triumph. Mom posted on Facebook. So grateful all my children can celebrate this special day, even if Claire has to join us virtually from her important work trip. Moderated in. Family friends praising my dedication. Distant relatives saying they understood. Everyone accepting the lie without question. My Aunt Linda, Dad's sister, was the only one who reached out privately. I know you're not traveling for work. Your mother told me the truth at book club. I'm sorry, sweetheart. This isn't right. But even Aunt Linda didn't push back publicly. The family narrative was set. The Thursday before the wedding, I sat in the governor's private office reviewing budget projections. Governor Richardson leaned back in his chair, reading my report with the intense focus that had made him one of the most effective state leaders in decades. "This is excellent work, Claire," he said finally. "Your analysis of the regional economic impact is exactly what we needed. The Transportation Committee will approve this with your numbers backing it." "Thank you, sir." He smiled. "How many times do I have to tell you? It's Jim when we're not in public." He glanced at his calendar. "Now, I know you mentioned you have something this weekend. Family commitment." I hesitated. "My sister's wedding, actually." "Wonderful. Congratulations to her. Big event. Thornhill Estate. 300 guests. It's quite elaborate." His eyes sharpened with interest. "Thornhill? That's the Whitmore wedding, isn't it? Brad Whitmore." My stomach dropped. "You know the family?" "His father Richard and I go way back. Law school roommates, actually. I got the invitation months ago." He chuckled. "These society weddings. You end up invited to everyone's children's celebrations after 40 years in politics. I'll finally get to meet the famous family I keep hearing about in our meetings. Your parents, your sister. Should be nice to put faces to names." The floor seemed to tilt beneath my chair. "Actually," I said carefully, "I won't be attending." His eyebrows rose. "Oh, I thought you said." "I'm not on the guest list. Space constraints." The silence that followed was deafening. Governor Richardson set down his pen slowly, his expression shifting from surprise to something much colder. "Let me understand this correctly," he said, his voice taking on the dangerous quiet tone I'd only heard him use with corrupt officials. "Your sister is having a 300-person wedding and you're not invited?" "But I am." "It's complicated." "Uncomplicated for me." So I told him. Not everything, but enough. The years of dismissal. The casual cruelty disguised as practicality. The lie they told everyone about my work travel. My family's obsession with social status and their determination to network their way up through Sarah's marriage. By the time I finished, the governor's jaw was set in a way that made seasoned politicians nervous. "They told people you're traveling for work," he repeated slowly, while hoping I might attend to boost their social standing. "Using a wedding as a networking opportunity. I really don't want to cause any problems." "Claire." He leaned forward. "You wrote the infrastructure plan that will define this state's development for the next decade. You negotiated the transit deal that 3 previous administrations couldn't crack. You're the reason we're about to announce the largest education investment in state history. And your family thinks you're not sophisticated enough for a wedding. They don't know about any of that. I keep my work private. Perhaps it's time they learned." He pulled out his phone. "I'm going to need you to clear your schedule for Saturday. Official state business." "Governor, I can't just." "Jim," he corrected. "And yes, you can. Consider it a direct request. I need my senior policy advisor present for an important community engagement opportunity." The day of the wedding, I dressed in my best suit. Not the bridesmaid dress I would have worn, but the professional armor I wore to state budget hearings. If I was going to crash my sister's wedding on the governor's orders, I was doing it on my own terms. The livestream started at 4 p.m. I watched on my laptop as guests arrived at Thornhill Estate in luxury cars and designer clothes. My family greeted everyone with practiced charm. Sarah looked beautiful in her gown, playing the perfect bride for the cameras. Mom and Dad worked the crowd like politicians themselves, making introductions, collecting business cards, cementing connections. The ceremony began promptly at 5. I half listened to the traditional vows while finishing some emails. It was background noise until the officiant pronounced them married and the camera panned across the applauding guests. That's when I saw him. Governor Richardson, seated in the third row, not applauding. His expression was neutral, but I knew him well enough to recognize suppressed anger. The live stream cut to the reception. More champagne, more networking. My family was everywhere, introducing Sarah and Brad to important guests, laughing too loud, trying too hard. Then I saw the governor approach my parents. Even through the grainy live stream, I could see Mom's face light up with recognition. She grabbed Dad's arm. They smoothed their clothes, put on their most charming smiles, and turned to greet him with the enthusiasm of people who'd just won the social lottery. I couldn't hear what was said, but I watched the governor lean in, speaking with polite formality. Mom nodded eagerly. Dad gestured towards Sarah and Brad. Standard wedding small talk. Then the governor said something else. Mom's smile flickered. She shook her head, clearly confused. The governor spoke again, more firmly. Dad's face drained of color. My phone rang. Governor Richardson. Claire, I need you to clarify something for your parents, he said, his voice carrying across both the phone and the live stream with a slight delay. They seem to be under the impression you're traveling for work. I've informed them you're actually my senior policy advisor and you're definitely in town. But they're insisting there must be some mistake. Would you mind explaining? On the live stream, I watched Mom frantically scanning the room as if I might suddenly materialize. Dad had gone completely white. Sarah had noticed the commotion and was hurrying over, Brad in tow. There's no mistake, Governor, I said clearly, knowing he had me on speaker. I'm not invited to the wedding. My family felt I wasn't sophisticated enough for their guest list. The silence on the other end was broken by gasps. On the live stream, I saw Mom's hand fly to her mouth. Dad looked like he might faint. Sarah's face cycled through confusion, recognition, and dawning horror in the span of 3 seconds. I see, the governor said, his voice colder than I'd ever heard it. How disappointing. I was looking forward to discussing Claire's brilliant work on the infrastructure initiative with her family. She's too modest to mention it, but her policy frameworks are being studied by 3 other states as models for economic development. The transportation deal she negotiated will bring thousands of jobs to the region. And the education funding proposal we're announcing Monday? Entirely her design. On the live stream, guests were starting to notice the commotion. Phones came out. The crowd pressed closer. But I suppose none of that matters, the governor continued, compared to maintaining the right social image at a wedding. Please excuse me. I find I've lost my appetite for celebration. He hung up. On the live stream, I watched him nod curtly to my parents and walk away, heading for the exit. Several other guests followed him, including, I recognized with grim satisfaction, the federal judge and investment firm CEO that Sarah had been so eager to impress. They were the governor's friends, after all. Where he led, they followed. My phone started ringing. Then Dad. Then Sarah. Then Marcus. I let them all go to voicemail. The livestream chat was exploding. Wait, the sister works for the governor? Did they really not invite her? This is so awkward, OMG. She's the one who did the transit deal? My firm wanted to hire her. Someone had already screen recorded the confrontation. It was on Twitter within minutes, TikTok within 10. Governor calls out family for excluding his senior advisor from weddings started trending. The voicemails piled up. Mom crying about a misunderstanding. Dad demanding I call him back immediately. Sarah sobbing that I'd ruined her wedding. Marcus calling me selfish and attention-seeking. But it was Aunt Linda's text that made me smile. About damn time someone put them in their place. That man is a class act. You, meanwhile, are a star who's been hiding her light. Stop that immediately. Love you, sweetheart. By Sunday morning, the story had been picked up by local news. Policy advisor excluded from family wedding gets unexpected support from governor. It's too good to resist. Successful woman dismissed by status-obsessed family, validated by state's highest official. My firm's partner called. Claire, clients want you. Competitors want to hire you. Universities want you to lecture. This is big publicity. The governor called too. What your family did was wrong, he said. I left because I won't support people who value status over their own daughter. I saw the live stream, I told him. He laughed. Then now get ready. The press conference will make headlines. The room was packed. Cameras flashed as the governor introduced me as the architect of the education plan. Reporters shouted. I answered calmly. People from Sarah's wedding watched, now respectful. That night, Sarah posted wedding not inviting your own sister. She's the real success. Mom and Dad came to my loft for the first time. You never told us, Mom whispered. You never asked, I replied. You cared about appearances, not me. Sarah appeared shaken. The wedding's ruined. Everyone's talking. Brad's parents are furious. I'm not sorry, I said. These are consequences. They left without peace. Aunt Linda came with wine. Your mom says you're unreasonable, she said. I told her it's her turn to sit with discomfort. The story spread. TikTok hit 3 million views. The governor's office invited me to speak at the state summit. I said yes. Newspapers ran my name on the front page. Calls poured in, universities, think tanks, organizations. My family finally realized what they'd dismissed. Sarah called. I didn't know you were that person. Can we fix this? I don't know, I said. My worth isn't about networking. It's about hard work. She fell silent. Call me when you understand the difference. Flowers arrived from the governor's office. For the advisor who didn't need a wedding invitation to prove her worth. Kept them on my desk. Not for revenge but as proof. I earned respect by competence, not status. 3 months later, my name appeared on the governor's new economic council. Mom texted in the family chat. We're proud of you. Still performing. But I didn't need it anymore. I had self-respect. Success built on merit. And proof that true sophistication is measured by character.